What up, y'all? It is Monday. We are here for our anchor message for the week. Wow. So on the, I guess, would hills be after, like on the hills of blah, blah, blah? I don't know. I don't know the proper grammatical terminology there. But after, we're in the wake of the big eclipse season, still kind of finishing out Mercury retrograde. We'll still be in that shadow for a little bit. So yeah, things that are like in flux right now are still in flux. And if, people from the past are reaching out or things seem still to be on again, off again, I think there will be a lot more clarity. A week or so from now, things will be more solid and definite. But yeah, for now, things are still kind of up in the air and a little foggy. However, the energy forecast for the week hinted at like revelation to come and deep transformation. And let's see, I have the cards over there. It was release and separation and sacral chakra. It was about sexual healing and the guilt and the shame held there. And so, it just I just connected something that I was talking about earlier tonight. But anyway, yeah, so huge transformation and revelation and breakthroughs happening this week. And so that's the energy that we're in. And then to narrow down on the lessons and like what assignments are in spiritual soul school this week, this is our anchor message. So from the wild unknown archetypes, we've got the mystic, we have the shaman, and we have the mentor, all in one reading together as our anchor message, as our assignment. And we are in training this week, push come to shove, where rubber hits the road, where we are demonstrating that we have become the mystic, we have become the shaman, we have become the mentor, and we have been able to establish a certain level of healing and conscious development and transcendence and self-control and evolution that has gotten us to a point where we can actually begin to be less reactive in life. And we can pause and choose really like how we want to react according to what kind of reality we're wanting to create. And so the mystic, I'm going to read these from the book because like I don't know, I would suggest reading in the description box below the actual post for today. There's just so much to say on all this, and I feel like there's just so many layers, but yet it's so straightforward. It's like the mystic is the one who can take the pain and sit with the pain and the experience and actually take that darkness and alchemize it into nectar, into spiritual transcendence and like conscious elevation. It's spiritual alchemy, right? It talks about this in the description, but this is about being able to come to a point to now to say, oh wow, okay, so all of the experience in my life, all of the growth, all of the pain, all of the decisions that past me made to do the work, to show up for myself, has prepared me for now to be the person who can swallow the darkness and be that light worker and turn it into light, right? You can take the pain from your life or the disappointment and actually transform that into wisdom and compassion and understanding for others. You can actually, become stronger by your difficulties, and that might teach you how to be stronger in setting boundaries and expectations and standards for yourself, right? But whatever the mystic does, as an archetypal role, they do this on behalf of those around them, right? These are all characters and archetypes that have to do with like being the spiritual leader or example for those around you. And the mystic is the person who has sort of like this hands-on healing role of turning the poison into amrit, right? Turning the darkness into the nectar, turning experience into wisdom, into self-control, into self-mastery, right? Into personal development. And so the shaman is also that leader in the village, in the group, that can be that Death Eater as well. And the shaman, though, has this specific ability to access these other dimensions and tune in and channel and go into trance. But the shaman is also like a student, a long-held, lifelong devotee of deep study, of deep spiritual study and growth, and being a spiritual student within the self and doing the work of self-discovery and whatnot. But the shaman, both the shaman and the mentor, they have to hold themselves, the shaman particularly, under a very rigorous spiritual standard and a standard of integrity, because and they have to constantly study and constantly push themselves to evolve and to change and to heal and to transcend. They can't rest on their laurels, because it's their job to constantly, be in right standing and be the example for others, and honestly raise the energy in the area that they're in, so that frequency is raised for others to then be raised by that as well. So the shamans have a responsibility not only for their own personal evolution, it's not just for them, it's on behalf of everyone. And so we'll get more into that. But the mentor, right, it talks about how the mentor has a knack for being able to pinpoint exactly what level of, like, what's going to help someone grow, right? For some people, they need hands-on experience. For some people, they need, a little bit of a tough hand, strong hand to, get them motivated. Some people need positive encouragement, gentle persuasion. You have to learn. So the mentor, one of the gifts of the mentor is to be able to know what people need specifically and uniquely, and at what times and when and how much, right? It's like knowing how much pressure to apply. And like this immediately called to mind, because like these days we are kind of leaning into this culture of if there's any kind of pushback, if there's any kind of constructive criticism, oh, you're bullying me, I'm going to complain on you. And it's that whole cancel culture. Like it's out of balance. Most of the time, society is just out of balance. It's like these pendulums swinging in such extremes. But like part of like being in college and like going through a fine art photography program and just fine art in general is that you have to go through critiques, and you have to have your work evaluated. And if someone doesn't give you any constructive feedback or break down your work a little bit and give you guidance and tell you like what's wrong with it so that you make it better, like it won't be better. And the same is true, in life and in spirituality, and in growing like people. Like when you want in order to evolve, like usually people have to be put under pressure. Athletes have to train hard to get stronger and better, right? It's not because people are coddled. And immediately when I read this card, it brought to mind Mr. Miyagi. In Karate Kid, like in the early one from the 80s, it was like Karate Kid 1. When Daniel-san meets Mr. Miyagi Mr. Miyagi isn't that interested in like mentoring this kid. He's like disinterested. He doesn't care. Like Daniel-san wants to like learn karate, and he's like, ugh, well, you can like sand my deck, and he's like, you can paint my fence, and he's like not that nice to him, and he's really hard on him, and he's very specific, and he's like, you have to do it like this. It has to be like this, and you know, he kind of comes off like kind of a dick, you know. But actually, the whole time, he's just making Daniel's son into a good, like, he's giving him good technique. He's grooming him. He's training him to be a better fill in the blank. And so he's just being a good mentor. If he coddled Daniel's son and was like, yeah, that'll do, you tried, good job. It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, willy-nilly. He's not going to have any technique. He's not going to have any discipline. You know, it's like, you're not going to be good at it. It's, you know, so to be a mentor, like sometimes you need a strong hand and tough love. So I will read these after we get into the tarot cards. But underneath the Mystic, we actually got 3 of Wands. And I feel like right now, it's like the 3 of Wands is about having like things ready to go. Like it's like you're ready for the next journey. It's just like you're waiting for your ship to come in so you can make birth. Like you need to like load everything onto the ship. You need to like get your like plans ready, and you know there's some things to do to prepare to just like get on board and like leave, right? So this person, she's standing at the edge of the city on top of the mountain, and it's like she's exalted and powerful and looking out, and she has this like grand vista, this grand view, like this overview of everything, this perspective that allows her like the greatest perspective, right? And she's sitting in stillness, waiting for the right time to put the boat in, right? It's got to be the right tide. If you put the boat into flat water, it's not going to go anywhere, right? And I mean, maybe the flat water, low tide ride is good, I don't know, to like start loading the ship, who knows? But she's waiting for the right time. And so 3 of Wands suggests that there are collaborators and resources ready to go. It's just about waiting for the right moment for it all to come together for the next step to expand the vision. And so I think it really has to do with like the healing that we're going through right now, and how it actually like starts to have an effect and an impact on those around us as well. I mean, I kept thinking about today, you know, all of this feels like when you look at the other tarot cards, it looks like it's talking about how your spiritual evolution is the legacy you leave behind, and what you really do to influence the world. But it could be as specific as like, I know there's a lot of people who have kids that watch this channel that I know personally, right? So it's like you may not be like a public teacher of spirituality. You may not be a missionary out in the world. You know, you may not have to like post something or like make a channel or whatever. It's no pressure. Maybe with your children, it's like all of your spiritual transformation and growth and evolution is deeply impacting and improving the kind of relationship that you can have with your kids, and what kind of people that they'll grow up to be, you know, because you did the work and you made an effort, and you got your consciousness in the right place so you could have better interactions with the kids, right? You have more presence with them. You can have more quality time, even if it's not quantity time, and that makes the biggest difference. So like these things, this effort that you're putting into your own personal evolution is making changes and is making waves in many ways in the people's lives around you. But I just kept thinking about how it impacts your children. It's like you're the shaman and the mentor and the mystic of your own household. And so, you know, you're the spiritual leader in your household. And you have so much impact. And so, yeah, this is great. And it's like there's no pressure for you to be some big, like, public guru or anything. It's just you're having so much effect and impact on the people around you in a very gentle way, right? So the Strength card came up, and the Strength card is all about gentle persuasion, right? It's about not pushing through force, but being, look, it's like they're all cuddly. And this lion that's like defensive and hungry and grasping and, you know, animalistic and no control, and like, it's like all of a sudden it feels so serene and relaxed in this little girl's arms that it can just be there. And it's like not even that she's holding the mouth shut like in some of the strength cards, but it's just like, you know, when you have like a dog or an animal or whatever cuddling and they're kind of like nibbling, you know, and they're kind of playing with their mouth and you're like messing with their snout with your hands. And it's just kind of like that's what the way it is, because it's like there's like trust and like something about that there. It's just, it's a gentle serenity, an inner peace and a place of respite instead of force, instead of ego, instead of, you know, scarcity and trying to, you know, enact an agenda or get what we want or use the will of like our lower self. It's like, no, we're aligning with the will with our higher self. And we are like moving through the universe with gentle persuasion. And we're influencing others to expand in their own life and overcome their own darkness by gentle persuasion. You know, another thing that came to mind was knock and the door is open, seeking ye shall find. Like Jesus was the gentleman, the Christ consciousness. It's not going to force itself upon you. It's all about free will. And so this is about us all of a sudden coming online being like, oh, okay, I want to pursue like a more compassionate level of consciousness, of a more certain level of faith. Like I want to have more gentle influence in my life, right? And so yeah, I would say don't forcefully go after your dreams even this week. Just gently enjoy the pursuit of them, the experience of them, and the way that, you know, working on them changes you from the inside out, right? And think about the work that you're doing on the soul, right? It's about gentle progress, not force, right? You don't want to force your ego into place. That's not restriction at that point, that's repression. You know, when we practice restriction, when we restrict the ego, we allow ourselves to feel what we feel and we acknowledge that and we observe it and we're curious about it. We're like, well, what is it that you feel about this? It's like we include it, right? We make the ego feel welcome and we heal it rather than making it feel alienated and defensive and, I need to, they're all against me. It's like, no, ego, you're part of us. We just don't want you working against us. Let's all like align our like, you know, shit together. Okay, so gentle persuasion. And then we have the mentor crowning the King of Swords. This is the feminine King of Swords. And so this is, actually, I'm just going to read this. I think it's still open. Yeah, the female King of Swords. Instead of a sword, the female King of Swords is holding a large needle up into the sky. This needle is so sharp that the king can pluck the shining stars from the universe and sew them onto her sparkling dress. The king's crown demonstrates that she possesses stellar gifts of intellectual power and mental clarity. She has the authority that compels people to listen to her, and she can see the truth in all matters. The stars symbolize the infinite knowledge that exists in the universe. Right? Mental adeptness, intellectual prowess, insightful, quick learner, problem solver, ethics. When in reverse, though, sometimes I like to just like holler out these shadow meanings. Overly analytical, abuse of power, confusion, or rash action. So I think that it's like the mentor and the king, the female king, what really stood out is that she has the authority that compels people to listen to her, and she can see the truth in all matters. When we read let's read the mentor now, actually. Because when you combine this with the mentor, it's like, wow, this is a straight shooter right here. This is beyond Queen of Swords, like, just tell it like it is. This is like, no, you tell it like it is, you point it out, but you're like the mentor. It's like, no, if you can learn how to communicate this in a loving way and in not a destroyer consciousness, but a creator consciousness, this can actually be very powerful and very transformative. Okay. The mentor, the teacher, the sage, the guru. It is said that the cosmic knowledge pours down onto the world like a great illuminated waterfall. This can be an overwhelming force. The true teacher, though, is said to be able to hold this flow of wisdom at bay while the student sips from the focused stream. The mentor archetype has a gift for reading the room, for sensing the exact ingredient that will stimulate growth within the student. I'm going to read that again. The mentor archetype has a gift for reading the room, for sensing the exact ingredient that will stimulate growth within the student, whether pleasant or painful. The mentor may appear aloof or unavailable. The mentor may appear aloof or available, harsh or tender, humorous or rigid. Their gift is to know what serves the soul. Ultimately, the mentor is in service of the greater cosmic good and aids in the elevation of consciousness. Anytime the mentor forgets this humble link and mistakes themselves for the source of enlightenment, the archetype falls into shadow. I'm going to read that last line again. The mentor may appear aloof or unavailable, harsh or tender, humorous or rigid. Their gift is to know what serves the soul. Ultimately, the mentor is in service of the greater cosmic good and aids the elevation of consciousness. Anytime the mentor forgets this humble link and mistake themselves for the source of enlightenment, the archetype falls into shadow. So don't mistake yourself for the source. You're only the channel. You're just an empty tube with the light coming through. Keep in mind how easy it is to project power onto another. The expressions feet of clay and cult of personality exist for a reason. Although it's typically true that parents are our initial teachers, the child will eventually seek a mentor figure outside of the home to assist in their growth. When light, focused, clear, bright, remains a student. When dark, self-serving, envious of youth, righteous, rigid. To go deeper, the riddles of Zen masters and their students. All right, and then underneath the King of Swords, the female King of Swords, we have Six of Swords. This is a victory. It is a moment where you have passed through the storm and you're finding solid ground again, and you're getting anchored, but you're getting anchored in hope, right? You're not quite there yet, but the worst is behind you, and you're moving on to like good, brighter and better days. I also want to read the Mystic and the Shaman. Okay, I'll start with the Mystic. The Seeker, the Lightworker, the Dreamer. The mystic is often misunderstood in our culture, depicted as a wandering or lighthearted daydreamer. Yet like Shiva, the true mystic plays a critical role in society. Remaining fearlessly dedicated to the path of transformation in order to save the earth from darkness, Shiva swallows the poison of the world and holds it in his throat, slowly transmuting the liquid into nectar. This is the work of the mystic. They do not fear darkness, but rather sit in the presence of it, harness the potential and latent energy behind it, and embed it with light. They are patient and prudent change makers, seeking growth above all else. Unanswerable questions are the mystic's lifeblood. The mystic revels in mystery, in the great riddle of life, dancing with the forces of light and dark upon its wings. When light, remover of darkness, visionary, ageless. When dark, expects results, seeks attention and recognition. Go deeper. Zen Cohen's poetry, Murakami novels. Like any light worker, the mystic must build a relationship with fire. This begins by awakening the inner flame, or tapas within. It may seem that the mystic is inward facing, yet its light beams back into the world with the strength of 1,000 stars. Okay, let's read the shaman. The Magi, the sorcerer, the medicine woman. 3 archetypal ingredients constitute the shaman, and all must be present in order to reveal its magic. First, the shaman is activated by long-standing and diligent study, the mentor. Second, its orientation is generously and accurately aimed toward the healing of the self and other, and the self, the other, and the culture, the healer. And third, the shaman has a knack for finding doorways to other world. The shaman has a knack for finding doorways to the other world, allowing psychic visions and old magic to leak into this world, the unseen. In this way, the shaman is a master who bridges the everyday and the sacred, revealing potent power needed desperately in our time. Revealing potent power needed desperately in our time. Yet where there is power, there is shadow. So the shaman must be vigilant in studying their darkness. This card reminds us that the force of healing is ultimately not our own. We must shape it and share it with the world. When light, fearless student and practitioner. When dark, overpromises, blames, hurts self and others. Go deeper. Read The Black Elk Speaks and Michael Tucker's Dreaming with Eyes Open. The shaman can't be rushed. Working with this archetype requires study and perseverance. Think of it like brining or marinating. The content must permeate every fiber of its being. Contrary to popular belief, the shaman archetype appears in every vocation. Teachers, directors, surgeons, politicians, and poets are just like a few of the faces a shaman may wear. So, yeah. I think I'm going to leave it at that and let you marinate on it. But yeah, I do feel that big transformation within us is happening through this week. Ties in with revelation that we are having and epiphany. I would highly suggest going back and watching Sunday's weekly energy forecast for the week. It sets us up for obviously these are going to be the lessons to follow that. But things are coming together. And it's about gentle influence. And that is going to be very compelling for people or for whatever, right? And just have the confidence and certainty that the worst is behind you and victory is imminent, right? The storm is over and dry ground. You're coming into dry ground and you're anchored in hope, right? Star of hope. So be diligent in your desire. Don't give it up and keep making an effort toward, your soul's calling and where your higher self is leading you. All right, y'all. I am pretty much spent and burnt to a crisp from this crazy weekend and Mother's Day double and the shift tonight. So I will see y'all tomorrow for Totally Tuesday. Ciao.